Good morning. So I've just got back from a run and something really interesting. Well, I thought it was interesting happened to me just before I set out. So I've maintained an exercise practice now for quite some time, and run, I actually try and run 6 times a week. And then if I don't make a couple of them because my schedule doesn't allow, then I'm still getting a reasonable amount of exercise. And it's very much a maintenance thing at the moment. But this morning, my routine was completely thrown off. So I woke up about 20 minutes late. I had a bit more to do in the kitchen whilst I was making my coffee, so that took longer. I had a bit of work to do, so my 25-minute session ran into about 30 minutes. And actually, by the time I got ready to go for a run, right down to actually, I hadn't put my running things on as soon as I woke up. So by the time I came to go for a run, I was holding my running things. I headed upstairs and I just found myself asking, what's the point? Now, the interesting thing for me there is that is a moment that I recognize even a year ago, I would probably have unconsciously connected with that moment, put my running things down and got on with my day. I've got quite a lot to do today. That's compressed my morning as well. So I'm aware of all these things that need doing. But I was very fortunate, given a lot of the practices that I engage in, I recognized myself having that thought. And I was able to challenge it in the moment. And I realized that without a specific goal, I was struggling to find a motivation to carry on. Now, I actually knew that this would bite me in the bum at some stage, but it has served me up until now. But two things came out of that I wanted to pick up on. One is that when we get into motion, that is, we've got a daily habit or some kind of practice that's actually working for us, we need to be really protective of that. That's not to say we shouldn't put things down if they're no longer useful for us, but we do need to recognize the value of doing something. Now, Peter Thiel, I think he's become a bit more contentious more recently, but I do really rate his book 0 to 1. And in that, what he explains is that the cost of getting something from nothing, from 0 to something to 1, is always greater than the cost of 1 to n. So taking something and making more of that thing. So had I stopped running this morning, I'd then be in a position I easily could have not run then for a couple of weeks. And then I'm back into a 0 to 1 position. And we are brilliantly agile when in motion. We as animals, we're bipedal. We've got 2 legs, not 4, not 2 legs and 2 wings, 2 legs. And actually walking, if you look at it from a gait perspective, is really just controlled falling. But what it does is it gives us excellent agility, which means that when we're on the move, we are very, very agile. And that's given us a lot of benefits, a lot of affordances. And we want to take that into our own practices. It's only when we're doing something that you can then start to do something else or something better. And that's the job for me now. I've got to review my exercise and say, what are my goals? What is it I'm actually going to do with this? Become a little bit agile, recognizing that I already have a practice that I can now improve on rather than having to start from scratch. So that's the first one, is that when we get from a 0 to 1 state, we need to protect that thing. That actually, if we're going to say no to something, we really need to have the checks and balances to say, what am I losing here? What am I gaining? Is this practice useful? Is it not? And is it actually that I could just change things up to improve my performance, to do what I'm doing? And the other one is that we need to be very careful about what we're saying yes to, because if we're going to commit to something new, then we need to recognize that the cost of moving that from 0 to 1 is actually going to be energy that we could have put into some of the things that are already in motion in our lives. Now, I get a lot of stick for my approach to social media, but actually that is one of those areas where I recognize that if I really committed to being on top of social media, That would take energy and attention away from some of the other things that I do, and my performance would decrease. Now, I was reminded this morning, as I was just thinking about this, as I was finishing up my run, there's a biblical reference to, like, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And I don't think there's any moral implication to that. I think it's just performance management on behalf of whoever was writing that. Because I think what they're saying is exactly this. Look, if you're going to commit to something, recognize it's going to take energy, it's going to take commitment. But once it's in motion, you've done something really special. And it's up to you then to make sure that you're really going to commit to that. Keep saying yes, keep working on it, keep developing it, keep it in motion. Use your agility, your natural human agility, to get that thing, keep that thing going and make it better and better. But by the same token, make sure that if something isn't a hell yes, it's a no. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to commit the energy to get that thing off the ground. And that could be as simple, I think, as starting a new TV series. That actually all of these things take our emotional, our intellect, they take attention out from so many different aspects of us that we just need to be mindful. And I'm not by any means saying we shouldn't watch telly, because I watch telly, but just being mindful. Where else in my life am I taking from in order to meet this thing? And is it useful for me? Anyway, a couple of thoughts off the back of nearly not going for a run this morning, which was, I went in the end, so it's all good. I'll be back again soon.